for? Is this for the devotees who live here? I mean, how many devotees live here? There's a few devotees who live here. Who's it for? Who's it meant for? Who's actually meant to actually really be developing it, taking advantage of it, and making what, for instance, Srila Prabhupada would want of land, which is something that gives us actually a sustainable lifestyle, something that we can eat from. Others?
How can the devotees get on well with each other in the community? It seems like I heard one say a big austerity for devotees is just to get on with each other, just to cooperate with each other. I was just wondering if you could give us some advice on how devotees can get on well with each other.
I think that probably if you just start from the other end and expect that there's going to be friction amongst devotees because it's Kali Yuga. And despite the fact that we have friction, we just accept each other because devotees are already a rare breed. And that's what people in the outside world do. People work together, they may not get on well with each other, but because they work in the same place, they don't have any choice. Someone may move in next door and their neighbor may not be their best friend, but because living next door, you don't have any choice. So we're also, in that sense, married to each other. It's just like, what happens in our present world when man and woman marry, they fall in love, they marry, and then they discover that they don't get on so well. Do they divorce or do they stay together? Our philosophy is you stay together if you got married. So similarly, we should expect that in Kali Yuga it's inevitable that there's friction amongst all kinds of devotees over so many things. But still we're married together. And so we're committed to each other through thick and thin on the basis of the fact that we're all Vaishnavas. And then, of course, there are so many other ways of trying to actually work out differences. We need to have common activities that help break down barriers. That's one of them is chanting Hare Krishna, is kirtan, doing service together. Those are activities that sort of unite devotees, Vaishnavas. There has to be good communications. When someone has, when individuals or groups of individuals have problems, they have to sit and talk and work them out. And it'll come back again, because that will be the tendency in this age. It's the age of quarrel. And it'll affect everyone. So it's an ongoing thing that you have to constantly work on. And if we do, then we can actually develop what's called working relationships. That despite all of those things, relationships can be amicable, Vaishnava-like, and Krishna will empower us to be able to deal with those things. But that's one of the challenges of community life. So as soon as you come together, that there's going to be argument. And in this day and age, it doesn't require a community to have an argument. People experience in Kali Yuga, among us, when we're so disturbed that we end up arguing with ourselves. People have trouble with their own minds, they have conflicts within themselves. So it doesn't really take a second person to argue, just giving one is enough. And over nothing. That's the other thing, it's over nothing. That's one of the tricks of the imperial energy, is, good English saying, making an argument out of a molehill. Is that there's not really anything to argue about. And generally when we end up communicating with find out that there is very little to argue about.
I was wondering if I could ask a question about what's your views on protecting the community from undesirable people coming from outside into the community?
It's, what we've spoken about before, it'll be hard to determine who's desirable and who's undesirable unless you have a very sort of clear constitution, unless you have a clear picture of what it is that you're expecting from a member of the community, and where someone, by their personal conduct or their lack of values or something, doesn't fit in. So you need to define that, and until it's defined, it becomes very subjective, because then everyone here may have a completely different opinion, or may define who's desirable and who's undesirable.
Well, could it define it more then?
Yeah.
What I mean...
No, you're going to define it more. I'm
No, I
saying,
mean, what the view of everybody, what, I mean, would you invite somebody that was mentally unstable to a place where there's children and devotees and women that work on their own at risk? What's your view on that?
well, I think that's when you say mentally unstable, it's a very broad phrase. Someone may be mentally unstable and not necessarily be putting women and children at risk, but someone, in another way, someone may be. So it depends how and what type of instability we're talking about. And once again, that needs to be, you need to have general guidelines, and then when there's individual circumstances come up, then obviously there's a community, means that there's a leadership to the community, a council, a committee, or who actually then deals with individual cases and to evaluate whether they fit into the parameters or not, or whether there's something new that just has to be dealt with on the spot or subjectively.
Safety is your top priority. Safety for the community, the people in the community, is top priority. Don't you think?
Yeah, well, certainly to be able to protect both the members and give them shelter is the priority. You need to really be clear about who the members are, because you may have people who are mentally unfit who think themselves also to be members of the community by dint of their own definition. So it can't be my definition and someone else's definition of someone else. There has to be very clear, just like in this country, there's constitution and there's very clear definition as to what constitutes, for instance, a citizen of the UK, or Scotland doesn't have separate passport yet, does it? We don't have Scottish passport. For instance, one of the things that we're pushing for, and I think we're going to, and I think they're right, is that people who don't speak English shouldn't be an English citizen. They shouldn't have a passport. In other words, you live in a country and you can't be bothered to learn the language of the country. I don't know if that's what they're making fun of the National Front.